Yeah. 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 I disappeared before they understood what I was building because attention started feeling like a tax on every unfinished idea. Everybody asking where I was going, what I was doing, when it would happen, whether the plan was working. Until explaining the mission started consuming energy that belonged inside the mission. So I closed the door to the location, stopped broadcasting. Every move and let silence become camouflage while the real work happened. Somewhere nobody could measure it, no updates, no previews, no countdown designed to convince strangers something important was coming, just invisible. I was stacking behind invisible walls until progress stopped needing witnesses to remain real. Every unanswered message brought another minute of concentration. Every missed event protected another piece of momentum. Every rumor about where I would became irrelevant because disappearing was never about hiding from the world. It was about finally hearing the work without the world interrupting it. They thought nothing was happening because nothing was posted. Funny how people confuse visibility with movement, like roots are doing nothing because nobody sees them underneath the ground. Ghost mode. Disappear, no more noise inside my ear. Ghost mode. Out of sight, build it quietly through the night. Ghost mode. No display, let the work explain someday. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Ghost mode. Ghost mode. Weeks turned into months and silence became addictive because there is a different kind of power in improving without immediately converting improving into content. Letting victories remain private long enough to change you before anybody else gets to comment on the learning skills without announcing the first lesson. Building plans without inviting opinions from people who never understood the architecture. Failing privately, adjusting privately, returning privately into the gap between who they remembered and who I had become. Grew too wide for explanation. Then when the door finally opens, I do not need a speech, no dramatic announcement, no paragraph explaining the absence. Because transformation speaks fluently without captions. The numbers change, the movement changed, the eyes change, the entire presence carries evidence of ours nobody witnessed. And then suddenly if everybody wants to know the secret, like there was some hidden shortcut, when the secret was simply removing the audience long enough to stop performing progress and start creating it. Ghost mode until the work becomes undeniable. Disappear until the old version becomes impossible to find. Then return without asking whether anybody noticed I was gone. Ghost mode. Disappear, no more noise inside my ear. Ghost mode. Out of sight, build it quietly through the night. Ghost mode. No display, let the work explain someday. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Ghost mode. Ghost mode.
Yeah. 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 I can do this figure when the rhythm everybody get access to my attention. Accept me, notifications multiplying like tiny emergencies. Opinions arriving faster than thoughts could form. Timelines telling me what to want before I had enough silence to remember what I actually wanted. So I shut the screen, cut the noise, disappear from the endless transmission, and listen to the uncomfortable static that remained where nobody else was speaking through the speakers. No likes measuring work, no numbers deciding whether the moment mattered. No algorithm choosing which emotion should enter my head next. Just breathing, thinking, walking through a world that suddenly looked larger when it was no longer compressed into something I could scroll past with one thumb. Every disconnected minute became another piece of attention returned to its owner. They thought I disappeared because they could not see me, but visibility and existence were never the same thing. Sometimes you vanish from everybody else's feed just long enough to finally appear inside your own life. No signal, offline. Take my focus back, it's mine. No signal, cut the feed. Silence gives me what I need. No signal, disappear. Now my own voice sounds so clear. Raise your head, let the whole world know. No signal. The first hours felt strange, cause the hand kept reaching for a device before the mind even knew why. Muscle memory searching for stimulation, like silence had become something dangerous. But slowly the minutes stretched wider, music sounded deeper, conversation stopped competing with glowing rectangles. Ideas stayed long enough to become complete instead of being interrupted into fragments. And I remember boredom used to be a doorway before technology turned every empty second into inventory. So I protected the emptiness and watched imagination move back in. Now I decide when the world gets access, when the doors open, when the messages arrive. Because connection without boundaries becomes another kind of captivity. And being available to everyone can make you unavailable to yourself. So let the network search for me, let the notifications stack up unanswered. Let the digital crowd keep running for whatever is trending next. I am somewhere beyond reception, rebuilding attention one quiet hour at a time. And when I reconnect I will return because I chose to, not because the vibration in my pocket commanded me. offline. Take my focus back, it's mine. No signal. Cut the feed, silence gives me what I need. No signal. Disappear. Now my own voice sounds so clear. Raise your hand, let the whole world know. No signal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Blackout. The lights died without warning, and suddenly everything I depended on disappeared at once. Screens went black, signals vanished, familiar shapes dissolved into shadows, and the room became honest because darkness removed the illusion that somebody else can always show you where to step. So I stood inside the silence until my eyes stopped demanding what they could no longer see. And another kind of vision started waking underneath instinct. Every sound became information, every breath became orientation. Every uncertain step became proof that direction can survive without visibility, because I had spent too long believing clarity had to arrive before movement. When sometimes movement is exactly what teaches the dark how to become familiar. No spotlight, no one exits, I know guaranteed that the next step lands somewhere safe. Just memory, instinct, and a heartbeat refusing to shut down with everything else. And somewhere inside that blackout I realized I had never needed as much light as fear convinced me I did. Blackout, lights out, still I know what I'm about. Blackout, pitch black, I can move without the light. Blackout, no way shown, still I find the road alone. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Blackout, blackout. The longer darkness stayed, the less power it carried, because fear survived by keeping the unknown unfamiliar. But every minute inside it turned another mystery into territory. Every obstacle touched became something mapped. Every wrong step became another coordinate stored inside experience. And eventually I stopped waiting for electricity to return, because adaptation had already become its own illumination. No external glow required when instinct knows the architecture. No audience required when purpose knows the direction. No perfect conditions required when the mind has learned to navigate uncertainty without panicking. Then the lights returned and everybody celebrated visibility like salvation. But something inside me almost missed the dark, because darkness had introduced a version of myself daylight never demanded. Somebody who can move without reassurance, decide without complete information, continue without seeing the finish line. And now when another blackout arrives, I will not freeze waiting for somebody to restore the power. I will become the thing that keeps moving when every external source shuts down. Because lights out does not mean life out. Signal lost does not mean direction lost. And darkness cannot stop somebody who finally learned to see without eyes. Blackout, lights out, still I know what I'm about. Blackout, pitch black, not can move without the light. Blackout, no way shown, still I find the road alone. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Blackout, blackout. Yeah. Two roads open in front of me, and neither one came with proof, because real decisions rarely arrive carrying guarantees. One direction looked familiar enough to predict, but every predictable mile felt like another version of yesterday. The other disappeared beyond a turn where imagination could not see what waited. And suddenly every voice I had ever trusted start arguing inside my head. Choose safety, choose possibility, protect what you have, risk it for what you might become. Until I realized standing between the roads was already becoming a decision of its own, and hesitation was quietly choosing stagnation while pretending to remain neutral. So I stopped asking which road could promise success and started asking which road I could respect myself for taking, even if the ending became difficult. No prophecy arrived, no sign dropped from the sky, no future version of me walked backward through time carrying the answer. Just one moment demanding ownership, because eventually every life becomes the accumulation of choices made before certainty was available. Crossroads, choose now, no one else can tell me how. Crossroads, left or right, make the choice and own the fight. Crossroads, no delay, one decision shapes the way. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Choose now. The second I chose, both futures change, because every yes secretly contains 1,000 no's, and every direction closes doors you may never see again. But regret does not come only from making the wrong decision. Sometimes it comes from refusing to make one until every meaningful option disappears. So I walk without turning the first mile into a courtroom. Without interrogating every difficulty is evidence that another road would have been easier. Because commitment means giving the chosen direction enough distance to reveal what it can become. Maybe somewhere another version of me took the opposite road and built another life. Maybe he wonders about this one too, but conversing with imaginary futures can steal the only life actually happening. So I keep moving, learning, correcting, choosing again whenever another intersection appears. Because there is no final crossroads, only a lifetime of moments where fear asks for more time and time keeps walking anyway. Choose with courage, adjust with wisdom on the consequence. Because the road becomes yours only after your feet stop waiting between directions. Crossroads, choose now, no one else can tell me how. Crossroads, left or right, make the choice and own the fight. Crossroads, no delay, one decision shapes the way. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Choose now.
I walked farther than comfort could follow until the ground disappeared beneath my feet, and suddenly every lesson learned on land became useless. Cause deep water does not care how confident you look. Standing near the shore, it asks whether you could keep breathing when nothing underneath you promises support. Every wave erased another illusion of control. Every current pulled against the direction I thought I had chosen. Every breath became something earned instead of automatic, and somewhere between panic and surrender, I learned that survival begins when you stop demanding solid ground and start trusting your ability to move through uncertainty. No railing to grab, no shallow end, waiting nearby, no familiar landmark, proving how far I had traveled. Just black water, open distance, and the terrifying realization that returning would require almost as much courage as continuing. So I kept swimming, not because I knew where the shore was, but because movement became its own answer. One stroke through doubt, one breath through fear, one more second refusing to become another thing, swallowed by the depth.
Deep water,
No shore, still I keep on
swimming.
more.
Deep water,
Hold my breath, move through fear and challenge death.
deep water.
Blackest sky, no dry land, but still I rise.
Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Deep water.
The deeper I went, the quieter everything became until there was nothing left except the rhythm of survival. And the thoughts I had avoided on land because distance removes distractions and isolation forces every hidden fear to introduce itself. Fear of failing without witnessing, fear of disappearing without explanation, fear that maybe the destination never existed beyond imagination. But fear loses authority when you have already survived long enough to recognize his voice. So I stopped treating every wave like a warning and started reading the current like information, conserving strength when resistance became pointless, exploding forward when the water finally opened, adapting instead of demanding the ocean behave according to my plans. Now I understand why some people never leave the shoreline, because certainty is addictive and depth exposes exactly what confidence was made of. But I would rather discover myself where the bottom cannot be reached than spend a lifetime ankle deep pretending I know how far I can swim. So let the horizon disappear, let the night cover every direction, let the water test every piece of courage I carried into it, because no shore means no easy escape. And sometimes that is exactly when you learn you were capable of crossing the ocean.
Deep water,
No shore, still I keep on swimming more. Hold my breath, move through fear and challenge death. Black and sky, no dry land, but still I rise. Raise your hands, let the whole world know.
deep water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Before they understood what I was building, because attention started feeling like a tax on every unfinished idea. Everybody asking where I was going, what I was doing, when it would happen, what it would have. Was working until explaining the mission started consuming energy that belonged inside the mission. So I closed the door, killed the location, stopped broadcasting every move, and the silence become camouflage. Where the real work happens, so nobody can measure it. No updates, no previews, no countdown. Designed to convince strangers something important was coming, just invisible. I was stacking behind invisible walls until progress stopped. Needed witnesses to remain real. Every innocent message brought another minute of concentration. Every mist had been protected, another piece of momentum. Every rule about where I went became irrelevant, because disappearing was never about hiding from the world. It was about finally hearing the work without the world interrupting it. They thought nothing was happening because nothing was posted. Funny how people confuse visibility with movement, like roots are doing nothing because nobody sees them underneath the ground. Ghost mode, disappear, no more noise inside my ear. Ghost mode, out of sight, but it quietly through the night. Ghost mode, no display, let the work explain some air. turned into months and silence became addicted because there is a different kind of power in improving without immediately converting improvement into content, letting victories remain private long enough to change you before anybody else gets to comment on them. Learning skills without announcing the first lessons, building plans without inviting opinions from people who never understood the architecture, failing privately, adjusting privately, returning privately into the gap between who they remembered and who I had become grew too wide for explanation. Then when the door finally opens, I do not need a speech, no dramatic announcement, no paragraph explaining the absence, because transformation speaks fluently without captions. The numbers change, the movement change, the eyes change, the entire presence carries evidence of ours nobody witnessed. And suddenly everybody wants to know the secret like there was some hidden shortcut, when the secret was simply removing the audience long enough to stop performing progress and start creating it ghost mode until the work becomes undeniable. Disappear until the old version becomes impossible to find, and return without asking whether anybody noticed I was gone. Ghost mode. Disappear, no more noise inside my ear. Ghost mode. Out of sight, build it quietly through the night. Ghost mode. No display, let the work explain someday. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Ghost mode. Ghost mode. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, they kept handing me rule books written by people who never wanted the game to change, telling me where the boundaries lived, how loud ambition was allowed to become, which doors required permission, and which dreams needed approval before they could be taken seriously. But I never trusted instructions designed to protect somebody else's comfort, so I ripped the map apart and started moving according to instinct, not reckless enough to confuse chaos with freedom, but unpredictable enough that nobody could build a cage around my next decision. Every expectation became something to question, every tradition became something to test, every invisible line became another invitation to discover whether anything real would actually happen if I crossed it. Because rules can protect order, but they can also protect mediocrity when nobody remembers why they were written. They call me a loose cannon because they cannot calculate the trajectory, but unpredictability becomes an advantage when everybody else keeps moving exactly where the system expects them to. Loose cannon, no rules, never moving like the fools. Loose cannon, break the frame, I don't play the same old game. Loose cannon, let it roll, nobody controls my soul. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Loose cannon. I learned the difference between rebellion and stupidity, because breaking every rule blindly only makes the rules control you from the opposite direction. So I chose carefully which walls deserve respect and which existed only because nobody had challenged them yet. Questioned every inherited assumption, tested every comfortable answer, rebuilt the strategy whenever predictability became a weakness, because originality requires enough courage to look wrong before anybody understands what you are creating. And every strange decision carries a season where spectators laugh before they copy it. So let them keep guessing which direction comes next, left when the pattern says right. Silence when everybody expects noise, acceleration when they expect hesitation, patience when they expect reaction, because freedom is not random movement. Freedom is having enough command over yourself that nobody else can predict you by controlling your fear. No script controlling the scene, no crowd choosing the rhythm, no old formula receiving automatic authority over a new situation. Just instinct, sharpening the strategy in the mind, willing to redraw the board while everybody else is still memorizing the rules. Loose cannon, no rules, never moving like the fools. Loose cannon, break the frame, I don't play the same old game. Loose cannon, let it roll, nobody controls my soul. Raise your hands, let the whole world know. Loose cannon. Loose cannon. Cannon, cannon, cannon. Loose cannon. They keep comparing me to the version they remember. Like transformation is supposed to ask a memory, but that person was only one stage of a process, still moving. Every failure rewired something, every loss removed something, every difficult season forced another adaptation, until the weaknesses that once controlled my decisions became extinct inside a system rebuilt through experience. I did not wake up transformed, I evolved through repetition, pressure, mistakes, isolation, uncomfortable truths, and thousands of invisible corrections nobody noticed, because illusion rarely looks dramatic while it is happening. It looks like choosing differently when the same temptation returns, thinking differently when the same fear appears, responding differently when the same wound gets touched, until one day the old environment tries producing the old reaction and discovers that version no longer exists.
They call it change, like change is an accusation. I call it evidence that everything I survived actually taught me something. Because pain without evolution is repetition wearing scars. Final form, evolve, every weakness getting solved. Final form, watch me change, nothing in me stays the same. Final form, level up, pressure never was enough. Raise your hand, let the whole world know. Final form, evolve, every weakness getting solved. Final form, watch me change, nothing in me stays the same. Final form, level up, pressure never was enough. Raise your hand, let the whole world know. Final form.
But final form is almost a contradiction, because the second I believe evolution is finished, I become another fossil, protecting yesterday. So this is not the ending, this is simply the strongest version available right now. Built from every previous yourself without being imprisoned by any of them. Carrying the courage of the beginner, the scars of the survivor, the judgment of your experience, and the hunger for somebody who still sees another level beyond whatever